So my wife was visiting and she sat here at the shop, and when she left a nice clear spot, nice open spot on my counter. So that leads me to one conclusion. I have room to start a new project. All right, however, I don't have a project picked out. So let's pick one from the comments. All right, so Brew suggested to make a portable high lumen torch. I like that idea. Now his comment was on the car headlight that I turned into a shop light, which I thought was a pretty fun little project, but I think we're gonna have to go a little brighter than that. So I think I might actually have the stuff to pull it off, starting with this guy. Now, the reason why I'm looking at this guy instead of a headlight is because like a headlight is like 3,000 lumens or something like that. And this one is like 8 or something like that. Now there is something about these when you go to buy them that I'll explain a little bit later. But yeah, so let's gather the stuff to see if I have everything. Because I know I got the LED. I also have the buck inverter. I'll explain a little bit more about this later. So now I need a way to keep it cool, switch, housing. Let's talk a little bit about criteria. So I want this to be small and portable like he mentioned. I'm not going for stupid bright, I'm going for functional. I saw one time, and I don't know if it was a real thing, but they did like a whole bunch of these all bolted together and it just seemed dumb. I want something I can actually use at the end of the day. So yeah, let's find a heatsink. So I think every creator should have a box of just heat sinks. Now, I gotta look at what design I want, because like right here is where the LED would be, and it would be facing out. That would make this thing big and clunky, and I don't want that. That could work. Mount it like that. Wonder if I got a smaller one. I'll need a fan, so we'll keep that. We will need thermopaste, and this is some off-brand stuff. So that'll be good for this. I like this one. Yeah, I like this one a lot. And then I don't even need this fan. All right, let's use this. I should have mentioned along with the LED, we're gonna need a way to focus the light. So this is gonna help take and focus it so it's not just coming straight out. Something I may end up doing, we'll see, is I may actually wanna have something that goes around here to more make it into a beam, but we'll see how that goes. Another thing that you could do is take and scratch the back of this so that way it makes a light that is less harsh on the eyes, but I'm not planning to be at the other end of this one, so we'll leave it so that way the maximum light gets out. That fits on there like that. This will hold it together. I do need to get this out of here. All right, so now I'm gonna need some long screws to attach this with. Maybe I don't like those. Alright, so unfortunately around me I have limited stuff. So after much consideration, I have decided the least janky thing that I could do that comes to my mind is wire. Now I think with wire, I'm going to take it, I'm going to use all of these spots. Alright guys, this is going to be a pain, so I'm not going to show the whole thing, but essentially what I want is this part that holds the battery right here, and I have an idea, so I might try to keep this handle. So basically I'm going to need to cut out what I don't need out of here. And all this. This is already broke, by the way, so I'm not wasting a good part. I really put this thing through its paces, and finally that snapped. So actually kind of impressed. I ended up getting another one. I really shouldn't have been doing what I was doing. But alright, I'll come back with this all cut up. Just kidding, you thought I'd keep you out of the fun? Can you guys see where I'm going with this?
So now I needed a 3D design, a part to print, and I'm keeping this fairly simple because of the fact I'm actually new to Onshape at this point. So I ended up just sticking with square designs. I didn't even really round over the edges.
Onshape is a pretty good program though. I've had a lot of experience since the start of this video.
Alright, so now to see if it fits in there, I first got to get these lines pressed into here so they'll be out of the way. Now I'm going to want it like this in there, so I'll want this on top. Not that there's a top and bottom to this, but... Oh, no, it won't be on top. It'll be on the side like that. Problem. You guys see it? So I was meaning to put a bunch of vents in here going all the way around. Alright, so last update, I forgot to add some holes here for airflow. So I've obviously 3D printed and done that. I also did knock the walls back, so let's see how things fit now. That fits nice. Yeah, I like that.
But I find cutting threads as like one of the most satisfying parts of a build.
Alright, so at this point in the video we got to start doing some wiring. Now, it's pretty simple here. We have two coming from the LED, and we do have excessive coming off of the CPU fan, but don't worry, it's pretty simple. So the blue and the yellow are features for it running slower and checking the RPMs that we don't need. So both of those can simply go. We only need the red and the black. So we'll get rid of both of those, but we're going to still use these. Alright, so now the voltage coming out of the battery on these Ryobi 1 pluses, they're like around 20 volts, somewhere in there. We'll call it 19. And we need to get that down to a 12 volts for this. I really like, for low amperage, these little guys. So what these do is they power regulate. Each one of these is a little bit differently though. If we look at the back, it gives us some clues. See, this one has these little pads here, and it has numbers by them. And that's because of the fact either you can set it to be adjustable, 12 volts, 9 volts, 5 volts, or 3.3 volts. This one, on the other hand, has one right here that you can simply regulate. Now I've used these both. I'm not sure which one I want to use today. I think I'm going to use this one. Start off with, I'm going to turn it down. Alright, so now I'm going to take these extra ones and I'm going to take and put it on the in. We're going to go ahead and make the yellow one positive. Keep in mind I'm looking through the screen that you are, so this is going to be a little bit tricky. And of course the light shut out on me. So let's do this first one in the dark, shall we? In the dark, big fingers, little objects, trying to hold. Now I do want to put a protective cover over this, but I'm not going to yet because I still got to dial it into the right voltage. And that's what we're going to do now. Yeah, 10 volts. So I'm going to turn it up just a little bit and check it again. You can actually hear the fan, and I can almost tune it just based on that. Oh, come on. Steady reading here. That's pretty close. Heard the fan kick up a little bit more there? Yeah, there we go.
Alright, so now we got the output for the light that we're going to take and put, I should say the input for the light that we're going to take and put on the output, but you're intelligent, I'm sure you do that. I say that in the whole Generation War Breaks Up comment section.
Alright, I'm going to show you guys what I did, but not live because of the fact it's too difficult. So right now, on the output here, I have it checking the voltage.
There's two adjustments there. One is the amperage adjustment and one is the voltage. So basically we need to set it at 36 volts and then we need to set the amperage accordingly in order for it to be 100 amps. So once we apply power, we're sitting just under, so that'll make it last good and long. And of course I have the amperage set accordingly. Alright, so now let's slide it together.
Alright, so it's possible some decisions were made, and you know, that whole serviceability thing, maybe it's a little overrated. People say I shouldn't be doubting myself this much, you know, have more confidence in your builds. And yeah, I guess whatever I gotta say to justify what I'm about to do. And what I'm about to do is I'm about to glue it together because I don't know a better option offhand where I could make it where it screws on and off. And this isn't something that I really need to have like perfect. This glue from experience is something that I can remove if I have to later, but not something that's gonna remove so easy that it's gonna take itself apart before I want it to. The last bit is we are going out on our trip this weekend, and it would be nice to have this with, because my family's scared of the bears, oh my. I record this and then die from a bear, that would be irony. I promise you guys, if I made a living doing this, I would make this a much more polished product, but last but not least, I want a little pin here so I can take and lock this in the complete on position. So I'm going to drill a hole in the top and do that. I forgot to mention, this does make it adjustable brightness too. Alright, so here's a size comparison. I'd have to say that was not too bad. I thought it was going to be worse than that. I'm pleasantly pleased with that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to do a test outside. I also got this other flashlight of mine. I think it's like a Ozark or something like that. It's supposed to be a pretty good flashlight, so we'll do a comparison of all three. Alright, let's check it out. Alright, so there is the Ryobi. There, I guess this one's kind of a different comparison because I can focus it. I'm actually now disappointed in this other flashlight I had.
The Ryobi's not focusable?
Nope. And this is the new one. On low. So that's cranked up. I kind of wish I would have put a focus on this. So if we point it down and look, you can see it completely floods it out. Yeah, I wish I had a professional camera to do this justice where I can turn the aperture up, but that's crazy. All the way up at the trees up there. Just dwarfs it. At a distance, it still dwarfs it. So it's like a Ryobi, but brighter and everywhere. All right, so there you have it. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep creating.